Hello folks, my name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? And this is a video about the Orlando Massacre, which I'm sure you've all heard about. Just a quick recap on the event. A shooter, whose name was Omar Mateen, went into a nightclub called Pulse in Orlando and armed with a AR-15 and a pistol, and killed 49 people. And there was took some people hostage, and there was a hostage negotiation going on, and then the cops finally burst in, and you know, when it became clear that it wasn't working, and there was a shootout and killed them. So that's pretty messed up. And the place was called Pulse, which was a LGBT nightclub. This happened to be Latino night, so the majority of people who were killed were Latinos. There's still something like 15 people in serious condition in the hospital. This is some it's been 4 days or so, and yeah, pretty horrible stuff. This kind of thing happens a lot in this country, a lot. I mean, there's at least one a month, as far as I can tell, a mass shooting of some kind that's large enough to hit the news, and these are only the events that we hear about. I mean, there are untold thousands of other events of, people getting shot in the country. I mean, it's ridiculous how many actual shootings, and this is, because not all shootings are lethal. That's another thing too. So, thousands of people are shot in the country, and, hundreds if not thousands of people are killed every year. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's a lot, right? So what makes this one different is the sheer body count. I mean, 49 people, that's a lot. That's more than Columbine, that's more than that's the largest in history, essentially, right? And that there supposedly is a terrorism connection to this one as well. And what happens, what do I mean by that is that before the guy went to the club, he called 911 and told the 911 operator that he was, doing this for ISIS, right? And went in, and as he was shooting people up was screaming, Allah Akbar or whatever, and so that's why it's getting a lot of media attention, because now everyone is screaming terrorism, where really the connection to terrorism is there is no connection to terrorism. I mean, here's the thing, is that this guy, when you look at what's going on with him, he basically looks like every other, paranoid, crazed mass shooter that we've ever had. And that is somebody who's like mentally unstable. His wife has been on the news. His ex-wife has been on the news talking about how he was mentally ill. Supposedly, he's been targeting this nightclub, but he was also he also frequented the nightclub for more than a year. Well, if you're gonna go shoot a place up, right, you don't go there for a year, right? You don't become a regular at the place where people know your face and things. Not only that, but they also have evidence of him using gay hookup apps, like the gay version of Tinder or whatever it's called. It's looking more and more as the days go by that this guy was another paranoid, delusional, mentally ill person that managed to get his hands on guns, and fueled with some, self-hatred and a little bit of religious fervor, decided to strike out against gay people, because it's looking more and more like he was actually gay, and in denial, right, and afraid of accepting that about himself. The terrorism angle, though, is very just narrow. There's nothing there. I mean, he was investigated by the FBI in 2013 because he said that he was a member of Hezbollah, right, and that he has relatives in Al Qaeda. And the thing is that Hezbollah is the Shiite militia, you know, and Al Qaeda is Sunni, and they hate each other. They're enemies, right? And both of those organizations also are enemies of ISIS. So, you know, it doesn't make any sense, right? It's like what this guy's saying is not, it's obvious bullshit. And the FBI stopped their investigation of him in 2013 because they came to the conclusion that he was lying about it, you know, that he was like basically making things up. And it kind of fits the profile of someone who's mentally ill, you know, to claim to be part of things that you're not, you know. I mean, so it's very, you know, there is no terrorism angle. And that's the thing, is that you're seeing it on TV, like from all the Republicans and Fox News and everything, and they're saying that it's like, this is the biggest terrorist, you know, strike on U.S. soil since 9/11. It's like, it's not terrorism. I mean, the guy got no training, no money, right? No support from ISIS, right? His weapons were bought legally here in the country, right? He didn't have to smuggle those in or anything like that, right? So if this is the kind of, I mean, the thing is, you can still call it terrorism. It's just, it's homegrown terrorism. You know, the same way that those two Boston City bomber guys were like homegrown terrorism. You know, they didn't have any support from the outside. They were radicalized here in the country. So yeah, you could make the argument that this guy was radicalized, even though I think that's BS. I think he was just mentally ill and was just, you know, grasped onto to ISIS because he was crazy. But, you know, who knows? I could be wrong. It could be that maybe he really was radicalized. Maybe he was, you know, they might find evidence that he was like frequenting, you know, is like jihadist websites and things like that, and watching videos from, you know, ISIS, because ISIS is kind of like a media machine. You know, they put out propaganda. Maybe he was watching, you know, ISIS propaganda and became radicalized that way. You could say that. Well, if you're going to be afraid of that kind of terrorism, right, if you're going to be afraid of that kind of thing happening, then you should just be afraid then of every single person in the entire country, because every person in the entire country has the potential to be radicalized. Here's the thing, right, is that, like, you're seeing this on TV, and you're seeing politicians and stuff like, you know, Donald Trump and Clinton, Hillary, they're exploiting this for their own ends, right? And, you know, it would be wrong. I think it would be like, they're expected, each of those people, to make a, you know, a statement about it, right? And Hillary's statement was basically the same kind of shit that we always hear, you know, like, well, we need to come together, blah, 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 we have to stand up for ourselves, whatever. You know, Trump's statements were like patting himself on the back for being right about terrorism, which is like, no, dude, he wasn't right, you know, because he's using it to justify his statement that he wants to ban all Muslim immigration into the country. That's complete fucking horseshit. I mean, this guy was not an immigrant. This guy was born in the United States. This person was one of us, right? He wasn't like a barbarian that invaded the country or some shit like that, you know. He wasn't smuggled in here by ISIS, you know, or whatever. He didn't infiltrate us to fucking come kill us. He's an American citizen. So, you know, fucking Trump's stupid ass, like, you know, banning an entire religion policy would have not prevented this at all in the slightest. Okay, so let's just get that out there right off the bat. All right, he wasn't right about fucking terrorism. Okay, because this was not terrorism, all right? It's not terrorism in the sense, like, that it's like, you know, an organization, right? It's homegrown terrorism. So would banning all Muslims from entering the country stop this guy who already was born here and lived here from doing this? No. All right? So that's fucking bullshit. So here's the thing, folks. You know, if I go out and I kill 50 people and, you know, with a gun or whatever, people are going to say that I'm a crazy, insane person, and they would be right. But if I do it screaming, you know, Allah Akbar at the same time, that doesn't suddenly make me a terrorist. You know, I don't think so. And the truth is, in this instance, it really is no different than any other mass, you know, shooting that we've had in the country. And really, the only thing that's going to stop this kind of thing from happening is for this country, the people, you know, the laws in this country to do something about access that, you know, crazy people can get their hands on weapons. That's really the only thing that's going to stop it. And here's the thing: is that this guy passed all the background checks, right? He went out, he bought a gun, he bought his fucking rifle a week before this massacre started. Apparently, he was a security guard. I don't think that gives you any kind of special clearances or whatever, but I could be wrong. You know, but how does this keep happening? You just got to think of it like that. How does it keep happening, right? I mean, if the controls that we have didn't stop this guy, then that means the controls we have aren't good enough. Okay. A person with a history of mental illness who's been investigated by the FBI for, making claims to be a terrorist. I mean, how the fuck does that not get you flagged? All right, I don't understand, okay? And the more, each time this happens, then it makes me think more and more that, the gun laws in this country are just bullshit, and we really need to do something about it. The fact is that this keeps happening over and over and over, right? And in every fucking massacre there is, they all have the same fucking kinds of weapons. They all have assault, weapons or whatever, right? They all use AR-15s. It's like, can't we fucking do something about this, right? I mean, if you see the same pattern repeated over and over and over, and you don't do anything about it, then whose fault is it, right? Is it the crazy person's fault, or is it our fault for not taking proactive steps to stop this kind of thing? So, in closing, I just want to, my heart goes out to the people out there in Florida whose friends and family were, killed in this event, right? And I hope that this just, that the people who stand in the way of rational gun control will just finally get fed up of this kind of thing, and I hope this kind of thing, it'll be a wake-up call to them, and and maybe we'll finally do something to stop these kinds of mass shootings. All right, I just hope that happens, but for some reason I don't think it's very likely. Anyway, adios, folks.